Silence in the Snow is a lot better than the last two albums. So, with that thinking in mind, let's move forward and talk about Silence in the Snow. Now, Silence in the Snow, even before the album was released, the band talked about how in this album they didn't want to scream as much. Matt was saying he screamed a lot before in other records because he didn't really know how to sing. But since he recently, with the last couple albums, learned how to sing, he didn't want to scream anymore. Now, that really isn't that big of a deal to me, but that was a big deal to a lot of people. So, this album, there's only really one part where it has some semi-harsh vocals, but for the main part, it's a lot of cleans and a lot of harmonies. But the vocals on this album, they sound really amazing because Paulo and Matt, the way they sung together, their voices meshed really well, and it sounds really really cool. Like it has a power metal feel to it, of a more like an Iron Maiden harmony type thing going on, and it sounds really cool. Now the first track on the album, Snowfall, with the has a slash through the O because it's fancy. It kind of sounds like the menu music for like a Final Fantasy game or like an RPG, which it sounds really cool, and I imagine they're gonna use that intro whenever they play live. But it's not as epic as the In Waves intro track was. And then the second track on the album, Silence in the Snow, which is obviously the title track, and it was the first single that they released. This song is really good. It was pretty much just ripped right from the, or I should say ripped, it was left over from the Shogun tracks back in the day, and I feel like it didn't exactly fit the theme of the album, so they kind of shelved it and they used it here. And it's a really cool album. They use sevens in this song, which I'm so glad they brought the seven strings back. Pretty sure they didn't use them in the last two albums, which was really a drag, but they're back here and they sound great. So this song, it's your typical Trivium song. It has its movements. It's very entertaining, and the vocals, like I was saying earlier, it soars a lot, and they do a lot of cool stuff with the harmony. Now the next track, Blind Leading the Blind, is one of the stronger tracks on the album. It starts off with the guitar intro that Trivium is known for. And the cool thing about this one is the actual music itself. It keeps it very interesting, and it doesn't really get repetitive, and it's not dumbed down. Because that's one of the things you're going to see throughout this whole album, is that the music doesn't have as many movements and is not as interesting, I should say, as Shogun was, for example. Because to me, Shogun was really the last really good album that they did. I did like In Waves and Vengeance Falls. Just once I went back and listened to Shogun, I realized how awesome it was compared to the other two. I base everything that these guys do off of Shogun. Now the next track on the album is Dead and Gone. It starts off with this really cool guitar riff. That riff makes your body head. It's really groovy. That whole song is really groovy, and then once again, the chorus has soaring vocals, which you're gonna notice throughout this whole album that they repeat the chorus a lot in their songs, way more than they did in the past. In the past, they would kind of go off into musical interlude and they would play a little bit. That doesn't really happen too much on this album. They just kind of repeat the chorus over and over and over again in some songs. It's not so much relevant in Dead and Gone, and even the next track, The Ghost That's Haunting You, they don't really do it so much in there. Now, The Ghost That's Haunting You, Matt got the name from this track because whenever, there was two instances that he was sleeping one night and he thought he saw 5 people at the edge of his bed, but he didn't move for like an hour, so he finally moved, and then, the shadows disappeared. So he's kind of had some running with some supernatural stuff, so that's why he named the track that. Once again, the chorus is very prominent in this song. It's a catchy chorus, but they just repeat it entirely too much. All the tracks that I've just discussed, that's all the beginning strong tracks, because what they did is they put all their strong tracks at the top, they put their weaker tracks in the middle of the album, and then at the very end of the album, close out and they're strong. I would do the exact same thing, because you only remember the first thing and the last thing that you hear. So Until the World Goes Cold is the next track, and it's, as my friends call it, it's butt rock, because it's the radio friendly song. This is the song that you write so that way it gets a bunch of plays and it makes the label happy, which is sad you still have to do that, but that's life in the music industry. I mean, it's a decent song. It's not really horrible, but it's a Breaking Benjamin type song, meaning that it's very laid back. It's very heartful, I guess is the word you're looking for, type of song. It's not really bad, but it isn't necessarily a song that you think of when you think of Trivium. The next two songs are sort of the weaker songs on the album. Rise Above the Tide, there's barely any verse. It has a cool little riff in it, but the verse, they don't stay on the verses very long. They stay on the verse for maybe 30 seconds and then boom, they're right back in the chorus. Which it gets, to me, it gets so repetitive, it starts to tire me out. And then you have The Thing That's Killing Me, which again, they repeat the chorus entirely too much in this song. I know I'm harping on it, but it's true, it happens. Now, Beneath the Sun, this song was ripped straight out of Shogun because it sounds like it would fit on Shogun, and it sounds really, really cool. I really wish they would have done more songs like this on the track, but they didn't. Now, this song could have been super epic, and it is one of the better songs on the album, but it could have been the best one on the album, but it didn't quite go that extra mile, in my opinion, to make it super epic. It is one of the really cool songs because it's one of the ones where the music changes back and forth and it doesn't get stale per se as a lot of the other songs on the album. Breathe in the Flames is one of the cooler songs on the album. It's one of those older type Trivium tracks that we're used to. It changes a lot. It has a nice good pre-chorus and it doesn't really repeat the chorus a million times. Now, if you bought the special edition of Silence in the Snow, you actually get 2 extra songs. The guy says that these are like B-side tracks that they were gonna, that didn't make the main album, but I actually think they're better than some of the songs that didn't make the album. Cease All Your Fire is actually one of the coolest songs on the album. It has a really memorable chorus, and it's more driving and it's less bland than a lot of those other songs that are on the album. Because like I said before, the ending of the album is strong. It closes out strong, which is kind of the album's saving grace. Then the last song on the album, The Darkness in My Mind, it kind of sounds like a lot of the other songs on the album, like that super epic chorus, that's sort of in halftime. It's not necessarily a ballad, but it's more of a it's a soulful, heartful song, pretty much. This is their first album with their new drummer, Matt Madaro. He did play on Vengeance Falls. He played on the song Through Dirt, Blood, and Bone. And before his first set, he actually had only like a day to learn like 6 or 7 songs, and he did, which is really awesome. Because this is his first album that apparently he's ever recorded with. Now, he does a very good job on the album, but I think the band kind of limited him a little bit. Because, like I was saying before, like the choruses, the choruses are very simple and they repeat a lot, which is not bad, but it's not something that I think of when I think of Trivium. I think of, really cool vocals, really cool riffs, and musical exploration, which they didn't really explore musically on here. They just kind of kept it in a box, and they kept it really safe. Now, this album is really good. It'll probably crack my top 10 of the year, but it's not Shogun for sure. It's different, and it leaves me feeling flat musically because, like I said, they dumbed everything down. What did you think about this album? Did you love it? Did you hate it? Do you hate to love it? Let me know in the comments down below. As for me, I'm out. Peace.